Previously, we built the hardware for a magic mirror, and there's no better way to start your day than feeling like Tony Stark in front of a touchscreen mirror that can display your things to do, can play music, and can even function like a mirror. But before we can get to that point, we need to install the software. So, Elite Hacksaw Mode activate! What? I am British, you can't work without tea. Okay then, it's time. Let's jack on. Whoa, it tingles. Okay, and here we are in the internet. So the first thing we want to do is etch the Raspberry Pi operating software onto an SD card. And to do that, I've navigated to this website. The links will be in the description if I remember to put them in. And we're just going to download. I'm using Windows, so I'm just going to download the Windows version. You can get a Mac version as well if you're using a Mac. But we don't actually have the file to etch onto the SD card yet, so to get that, we're going to navigate to the Raspberry Pi.org website, navigate through the software, and find the Raspberry Pi operating system software. Download that. It downloads as a zip file, so we'll have to unzip it before we can etch it on, but just wait for that time to pass. Okay, so now that we've got it downloaded, we can open back up our etch file. Make sure you've extracted the file, not just downloaded it. What we want to select is flash from file. By default it should have downloaded into your downloads, but I've put it in with my external hard drive where I keep all things for my videos. And now we're going to select the target, so we need to make sure that we select the correct disk, and then it's just a case of flashing it to the drive. Right, so I've popped back out the internet just to show you this. When you attach your Raspberry Pi and boot it up, if you've got your monitor turned sideways, or if you've got one that's mounted to a case, a little screen, and it's mounted the wrong way, you might end up with something like this, where the image is sideways or upside down, and you need to rotate that. Now there is a command, there's actually two commands for rotating this, but what you need to do is open up your terminal first, and you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll put the text below. And your keyboard attached, you want to write in sudo nano /boot config.txt, and that will bring up all the config files that get booted on launch. And you might want to put this in with all the display information if you want to make it logical, or as you can do, as I've done, is put the command right at the end. And there's two commands depending on whether you're using a touch screen or just a regular screen, and they have separate and unique functions. To just change the direction that the screen is displaying the image, you would use display _rotate. And if you're using a touchscreen, you want to rotate the touchscreen, because if you just change the display, all the touchscreen mapping is going to be off. So to rotate the touchscreen mapping, it's LCD _rotate. And when you've typed in that command, you want to write equals a specific number. And the way it works is you can have it as 1, 2, 3 or 0. If you think of it like a clock, you've got 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Now if you put in rotate 0, it won't do anything. It'll try and put everything that's at the top to a 12 o'clock position. Now, if this monitor was the right way around, it would be displaying correctly. It thinks 12 o'clock is up here, but 12 o'clock isn't up here. 12 o'clock's up here. So we need to rotate the image so that the top of it reaches the 12 o'clock position. And if I was to put in 0, it does no rotation. If you put in 1, it rotates through 90 degrees. So it will go from what it thinks is 12 o'clock at the top of the screen, we'll try and move it to a 3 o'clock. So it will try and move this bit to here, which means it moves this bit to here, and this bit to there, that bit to there. Right? So if we do it 2, it'll try and do it through the 180 degrees, so it'll try and make the 12 o'clock into a 6 o'clock, which in this case would make that bit down there and that bit down there. Simple enough. Now what we want is rotate equals 3, which will put the top, which it thinks is the 12 o'clock position, actually at the 12 o'clock position. So the top will be at the top. So I've already written the command in because I did it once and then thought I'd better show you. So we've got, he commented out there, and I've just written display underscore rotate equals 3. Then once you've written that out, press Ctrl and X in order to exit it, and it will give you information saying you want to save this file. Press Y for yes, and then it will give you what you want to save it as. Just save it as it is, press enter, and it won't do anything because it'll only load that upon boot. So in order to get it to reboot, we'll write in sudo space reboot, and then it will reboot. And you'll notice now it's rebooting in the correct orientation with everything up the right way, so it's easier to work with. Ta-da! Right, and now that we've got this set up, we need to open up the browser and we'll do a search just for Magic Mirror. Now that this is open, we're going to navigate down to the docs.magicmirrorbuilder. And this is open source software that's got really good documentation to it, so feel free to just follow along the instructions that are on here. You don't have to worry about following me. But we're going to go to installation and usage, and we're going to open up the terminal and do a manual install. And I'm going to fast forward through this section because literally all you need to do is copy and paste the relevant lines of code from the manual into the terminal and hit enter after each one. Now once you get to the npm install, as it says on the actual field, this can take a long time. I'm using a Raspberry Pi 3, which means it estimates about 10 minutes for it, but it depends on your internet connection speed as well. If you're using a Raspberry Pi 2, it'll take even longer, but basically you might want to just set this and walk away and have a cup of tea or something. Now, as with any good open source software, there are lots of different people adding their own parts to it, and in the Magic Mirror these are called modules. On the home page, just click the modules, check them out, and it'll open up this second window. And the one we want, if you just press Ctrl F to bring up the search function, type in the word smart, and we want to go down to this one, the Smart Touch. Okay, and in order to install, it's got a little install guide down here where you can listen to the guy who created it on the video demo, actually tell you how you can install it. And I recommend, he has got the video up on YouTube, recommend going to watch his video on YouTube just so that you can support the original creator. But then you've got your step-by-step installation. It's just a case of, once again, copy and paste to install them. Now after formatting the code, we save this, go back to our terminal, do the npm run start again. You can get back to the previous command by just pressing the up arrow key on your keyboard. And there we have it. So this is a Magic Mirror built from scratch. Now, it doesn't have many modules on there at the moment. There are plenty you can install. There's things you can link to your Alexa. Sorry if it just booted on then. You can have it linked to your phone. You can bring up, you've got news stories at the bottom already, but you can link to other news sites. You can have it look at stocks. The reason I haven't put that many modules on at the moment is because this is going to be a gift for my brother and sister-in-law, and my brother's kind of a tech person, and I'm sure he's going to want to put his own modules on here. Now the touchscreen is working, but there's not really much to touch, so I can't really display it here, and that's why I shut down the screen. But because it's not an LCD screen that's a touch screen, you can't rotate it using LCD rotate. It's a more complex, involved system. So if you're a beginner with programming, I wouldn't recommend using this sort of frame unless you're going to mount it in the correct orientation, so you don't have to worry about the rotation of it. Now if you are struggling with the rotation of your touchscreen, put it in the comments below and I'll send you a link to a guide on how to get it solved. And with that, I think I'll say goodbye here and see you all in the next video. This is cool.